His name was Marcus Smith. We met on the eve of Halloween at a gas station. His eyes were the color of honey, and his smile was just as sweet. He bumped into me while I was contemplating what kind of Doritos would go home with me. That night, we'd exchanged phone numbers, and the rest kind of felt like a dream. He knew me better than I knew myself. His favorite food was Philly cheesesteaks, and he hated the color purple, but without any reason. He was tall and lanky, but his voice held power and can easily fill an empty room. He had dreams of being a photographer. He had a good eye for beauty. His hands were always warm against mine, and he called me by my first name, always making it sound like poetry. He was an amazing student, if anything, a bit of an overachiever, if you ask me. He had dreams of going to the world's most famous museums and hoped one day he'd live up to his favorite artist. He wasn't the best driver, but he'd always manage to get me home safely. Always. He came from a good family. His mom was a nurse and his dad worked for an oil company. They loved him dearly and gave him all the things they didn't have growing up. When he told me he loved me for the first time, I cried and we kissed like our lives depended on it. I know it's silly. We were 17, but we were in love with all our 17-year-old little hearts. Years later, Marcus Smith is all I have, along with a string of memories I feel like sand on my fingertips, slowly getting out of my grasp. His name is all I have left for my own. Another name added to the long list of Black men that fell victim to police brutality. You know, for months, I've been constantly finding reasons to blame myself for his death, mapping out the exact moment things went wrong. Maybe if I took a shorter shower, I could have been there on time. Maybe if I'd gone with him, the cops wouldn't have stopped him. Maybe if I hadn't asked him to buy me food, he wouldn't be dead today. We live in a world full of maybes, but maybes don't bring back the dead. After a lot of consideration, I realized that I'm not to blame, although my privilege does hang on my shoulders like an ugly scarf. I would drive myself nuts if I continued to find reasons to blame myself for his death. But the truth is, there is no reason. There's no reason for a young Black man to be killed by the hands of someone who was supposed to protect him. There's no reason why the cops assumed Marcus was reaching into his pocket to get a gun. There's no reason for the death of Marcus, but his death was just another casualty in a war that we can't win. After his death, the media frenzy was crazy for a few weeks. For a few weeks, the world acted like it cared. Another young Black man killed in the city by the cops. His name wasn't his identity anymore, more like a battle cry. His name was just another name. The media painted him out to be anything that he really was, Marcus Smith. He wasn't gang affiliated, he wasn't a drug dealer, and he wasn't a criminal. He was a boy on his way to get food for his girlfriend. It's been years since I have lost my boyfriend, since a mother and father lost their son, and since a brother lost his brother. I can't say I don't miss him like crazy, but his name is all I have left, and it seems so sacred now, like my own personal prayer. His name was Marcus Smith.